Let's get started today with using a text interface command line in Windows. We're going to learn how to issue text commands because text commands are used in a lot of different operating systems. They also help you understand how files are managed, stored, moved around within your different drives that you have on the computer. To start with, let's take a look at the drives in Windows before we get into the command line. If I click on my File Explorer icon at the bottom of the page, go over to this PC, and you can follow along with me as I do this. You're going to see that the drives in my computer have been assigned letters. So let's kind of understand that from the beginning. The first microcomputers had floppy disk drives, and the first drive was assigned the letter A. Second floppy disk drive was assigned the letter B. When hard disk drives came around, they gave them the letter C. We no longer have floppy disk drives, but the hard drive is still called C, and if we had another hard drive on our computer, it would be called D. You'll notice that our DVD drive is labeled letter E. And those are the two local drives that we have in our computer. You'll also see, because we're logged into our Windows network, that we have some network drives. Those aren't actually on our computer. Those are spaces that we have, including our H drive or home directory, which is the space that is set aside for you to save files, as well as the shared drive, the S drive, where you can put files and share them with other people. Mostly teachers post files there for you to get to. So you only see these when you're hooked up to the network, and they actually are mapped to hard drives on the Windows server, and that's done so that you can access your files from any computer that you go to. With that in mind, we're going to get started with command line in Windows, and to do that, we'll go down to the taskbar here and click on the search icon and type in power. On that list, you'll see Windows PowerShell. You can just click on the first one in the list, and that will open up this window that you see that has PS H:\\, and a blinking cursor. We call this our prompt, and this prompt tells us that we're in our H drive. So that is where it's going to begin, in our home directory where we store our files. So I'm going to be giving you commands, having you practice them. I want you to take in your notebook and write down the names of the commands as we go along and what they do. The first command is the dir command, and dir lists the files that we have within the drive that we are currently seeing. If I type dir, and you can leave it lowercase, it doesn't make a difference if it's upper or lowercase, and issue the command by pressing enter, it will list the files for me. Most of the files that you're seeing on mine, and probably yours as well, everybody's could be a little different, are folders that we have set up within there. For example, I have my documents in there. And if I do CD to change into that different directory, I'm going to actually put in a single quote, which is right next to my enter key, and capital MY space documents, and another single quote, and press enter. You'll see that I get changed into the My Documents folder, and that's actually where you want to be saving all of your files. Let's type the dir command again. Now I have a lot of files in my folder, My Documents. I can actually scroll up and down. The first ones listed are other folders, and then you see these different files that are in here. For each file, you're going to get some different information. You're going to see the date and time that it was last edited, a file name, followed by a period and a 3-letter extension, and then this number right here. And this number right here tells us the number of bytes that each file has. And you can see they're different in size based on what type of data that we have. Text-based files are going to be smaller than something like a graphic. Audio would be even bigger, and video would be the biggest. And those are the exact number of bytes that we have. And based on what you've learned so far, you would know that if I have 1,000 bytes, that would be a kilobyte. 1,000,000 bytes would be a megabyte, and a billion bytes would be a gigabyte. I don't think we'll have any gigabyte files in here, but you never know. Okay, so that's the first command we learned, is the dir command. which allows us to see the files that we have. Let's talk a little bit about file extensions. Here's a list of different file extensions that you have that tell the computer what type of data that you have inside your file. You can see some different ones in here. You might recognize doc for a Word doc, or you might know, I've heard of a GIF or a GIF. It's a type of image. JPEGs are images like your phone takes. And you see a whole list. PDFs or portable documents that we often find on the internet. Photoshop files we'll see. Text files or TXT files. So there's a whole bunch of lists. And so each program, when it saves data, adds a 3-letter extension onto the file so the computer knows what type of file that it's looking at and what program to use. Okay, the next command we're going to learn is how to change to a different drive. And by changing to a different drive, I can look at the files on that drive. I'm going to change to the hard drive on my computer, and as you might remember from what we learned at the beginning, that's called the C drive. So I'll type C:, let me scroll so you can see that, C:, press enter, and now you're going to see that I am at my C drive on PowerShell. If I do a dir there, list the files that are there. Now actually these are all folders that I have within here. Make this a little bit smaller so you can see it. Those are all files that I have within there that you can see. We're going to make a new directory within here. So there's actually another directory command that we're going to be learning as well, which is cd to change a directory. First we're going to make a new directory. A directory is what the command line refers to as a folder. So I'll do md and we'll just call it practice. So md space practice and press enter. Nothing seems to happen, but if I type dir, you'll now see practice listed within my other folders. Let's go into that folder by typing cd space practice. You'll notice that on my prompt now it has the practice folder listed. It tells me that I'm inside of that folder or directory. And if I type dir, you'll see that nothing's in there. And that's true because we haven't put anything in there. We'll leave that there for today. We'll come back tomorrow and we'll add some more things to it as we learn how to do some copying of files. To get back to the root directory of my folder, and it's called the root because like a tree we can add branches and branches up, but the very bottom of our tree is the roots. The root is where I don't have any folders that I'm inside of. I type cd and then a backslash. The backslash is right below your backspace key. Press enter. And let's go back to my H drive. H:. I'm still in the directory that I was in, the My Documents. But let's go back to the root now. cd backslash. dir, and you can see that I'm at the root now. So those are the commands that I want you to learn for today. Write those down in your notes. What we've learned so far is the dir or directory command that allows you to list the files in the drive and directory that you're currently located, how to change drives using the drive letter and colon, and then how to create and change a directory. Making a new directory is md, and changing to a new directory is cd. I also want you to understand about how directories are made and the different files and file extensions that you have in there. Next time we will actually create a new file and look inside that file and learn how to copy and delete files. Good luck.